Welcome to the Horror Nightmare Hub, where darkness dwells and nightmares come to life. So today, we are going to describe a scary night shift story. So let's begin. Story 1. The Ghostly Hitchhiker. The memory of the ghostly hitchhiker haunted the traveler long after that stormy night. The image of her pale face, the feeling of her presence in the car, and the sudden disappearance replayed in his mind like a never-ending loop. He couldn't shake the eerie sensation that she was still watching him, even in the safety of his own home. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her ghostly figure standing by the roadside, her hand outstretched, beckoning him to give her a ride. The relentless rain and lightning seemed to merge with the apparition in his nightmares, creating a surreal and terrifying experience. The traveler's once adventurous spirit now became tinged with anxiety. He avoided driving at night, especially on stormy evenings when the rain brought back memories of that fateful encounter. The loneliness of the desolate stretch of highway stayed with him, a haunting reminder of the isolation the ghostly hitchhiker must have felt in her final moments. As days turned into weeks, the traveler's friends and family noticed a change in his demeanor. His once jovial personality became overshadowed by a somber and anxious aura. They couldn't understand what troubled him so deeply, but they sensed that something had profoundly affected him. One evening, as the traveler sought solace at a local bar, he met an old man who claimed to have encountered the ghostly hitchhiker many years ago. The old man's eyes held a mix of fear and sadness as he recounted the tale. He had been driving through the same desolate highway on a stormy night, just like the traveler. The rain was relentless, and he could barely see the road ahead. Suddenly, he spotted a figure standing by the roadside, waving frantically for a ride. He decided to offer his help and pulled over. The hitchhiker was a young woman, her face obscured by a hooded cloak. She climbed into the back seat without saying a word. The old man resumed driving, trying to make small talk to ease the tension. However, the young woman remained silent and distant. As they drove further, the old man began to feel an inexplicable chill in the air. He glanced in the rearview mirror and gasped in horror. The hitchhiker had vanished. He felt an overwhelming sense of dread, and his heart pounded in his chest. Terrified, he pulled over and searched the car, but there was no sign of the young woman. The old man knew that he had encountered something otherworldly, a vengeful spirit seeking justice for a past injustice. He, too, had met the ghostly hitchhiker. Listening to the old man's account, the traveler felt an eerie sense of validation. He wasn't alone in his experience. Others had encountered the same malevolent spirit. But this knowledge didn't bring him comfort, it only deepened his fear. The bar fell silent as the traveler thanked the old man for sharing his story. He left the establishment with a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of the ghostly hitchhiker's tragic tale. He knew he had to confront his fear to find closure somehow. The traveler embarked on a journey of research, seeking any information he could find about the ghostly hitchhiker. He scoured local archives, newspaper articles, and historical records, piecing together the puzzle of her past. With each revelation, the traveler's empathy for the hitchhiker grew. He learned that she was a young woman who had tragically died on that desolate highway many years ago, abandoned by someone who was supposed to give her a ride. Driven by a newfound sense of purpose, the traveler decided to honor her memory and help her find peace. He set out on a mission to lay her spirit to rest, to break the cycle of vengeance, and seek forgiveness for the injustice that had left her soul trapped in the mortal realm. Armed with this resolve, the traveler returned to the spot where he had encountered the ghostly hitchhiker. The rain poured down around him, the storm matching the turmoil in his heart. He stepped out of his car and faced the empty road. With tears streaming down his cheeks, he spoke aloud, addressing the spirit of the hitchhiker. He expressed his remorse for leaving her behind, his sorrow for the injustice she had endured. He begged for her forgiveness and offered to help her find peace. As he poured his heart out, a soft glow appeared in the distance, a faint light that grew brighter and warmer. The rain seemed to lessen, and the oppressive darkness lifted. The ghostly hitchhiker materialized before him, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and gratitude. With a gentle smile, she nodded in acknowledgement of his plea for forgiveness. The traveler felt a weight lift from his shoulders, and a sense of peace washed over him. In that moment, he knew he had done the right thing, that he had helped the ghostly hitchhiker find closure. The spirit of the hitchhiker began to fade, her form becoming ethereal, as if she was finally at peace. She mouthed a word of thanks to the traveler before disappearing into the night. From that night on, the traveler no longer felt haunted by the memory of the ghostly hitchhiker. He knew that he had played a part in setting her spirit free, in breaking the cycle of vengeance that had bound her for so long. With a renewed sense of purpose, the traveler continued his journeys, no longer burdened by fear and anxiety.